Hi there to all of my followers that are following my dreams too. I am going to be doing a video on my Blender showing how I get the different poses and animations for my character. Right here I have Rachel, which is one of my characters for my brother's roommate. I made this character with the Human Generator add-on. So the first thing that I do, I have realized that the rig that Human Generator puts on their models, Mixamo can't read these rigs. So the first thing that I always do, after I have everything else done, the full outfit the way that I want it, the hair done the way I want, everything designed out and set up the way I want. So this is how I need the picture to be done that I'm working for. The only thing is, like, in the picture, she doesn't have her shoes on. She'll have no shoes on in this picture. So I'm going to go ahead and take the shoes off my model. If I don't need it, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to delete out the armature. Once I have the armature deleted out, sorry, I kind of mind blanked what I was thinking about. I click A to select everything, and then come up here to File, Export, OBJ, and then I select where I'm going to be putting it. I'm just going to label as Rachel for video because I've already done this, so I don't want to rename it the same. For me, what I've always found that does better so it doesn't try to like export everything is I click A when I only have what I want exported in the scene to select everything and then put selected only. I've tried so many different ways on doing the Mixamo, and this is just the way that I found that it works the best. Once I get this part done, I'm going to jump over to Mixamo. Okay, here I am on Mixamo. You will have to sign in, but it is free. So once you get signed in, then you can come over here to, wrong button. Come over here to upload your character. Select it. Now you can go to where your file is saved at and find your file that you saved, the one that has OBJ at the end of it. Click on that and open. Now it may take a few minutes for it to fully load the character. Just let it load it up. Okay, now that it has the character completely loaded up, I know it says that it's best to have it in the T-pose, but the A-pose works as well. So go to next, and then you're just going to place these. Now, it does show you right here if you need to look at it, but they're pretty explanatory to where they go. And then next. Now, as you can see, the model doesn't have the hair particles on there, and I can show y'all how to fix that. Okay, so once you have it done, then you just hit next. Now, I don't want it to load this character because I already have the one I want loaded in here. And here in a moment, I'll show you how to do it where the hair loads, because Mixamo can't load the hair particles. But once you get it in here, the first thing that I do is I always come in here and I'll hit download to change it to the T-pose. Because if you're wanting to retarget any of these animations, like if you're going to reuse this character for something else, it's best to export one of them that is set with the T-pose. I already have the model downloaded. Because it makes retargeting it a lot better. Now, if you're only going to be using the character for one thing, then you don't have to do that. You can just pick the pose that you want. You can look at it and see if it's what you like and everything. You have some switches over here that you can mess with. You know, you can pick another one, see all the different ones they have. They have a lot of different ones. You can also go up here and you can search through them. But once you pick the pose you want, then like I said, if you're going to be using this character, like for me, I'm going to be using it with a bunch of different things because I'm going to be using it for my animation as well, not just a still photo that I'm working on right now. So I exported mine as the T-pose, and then I went and I found the animation that I was looking for. Now, I don't need this entire animation. All I need is just this one clip right here is what I'm looking for. Just because it'll give me like a base to start with. So I came over here and I found where the clip would be. I want to say it was like somewhere right in here. And then I just pulled this all the way out so that it was only doing just that one spot, because I didn't need the whole animation. I only needed just that one part. And then I downloaded it. If you're gonna be using this model, then you can download it with the skin. That'll keep the mesh on it. But for me, I'm going to be using it for something else, so I did it without the skin. That just downloads the armature. Once you have your Mixamo rig downloaded, then for me, I always try to have everything in a new scene, because if I do any edits or anything to the model through the human generator, like if I want to use it for face poses that they have on there, changing the skin color, the age, you know, anything like that, then I have to be on the original file that I made the model with for it to work. And so I try not to do anything with like deleting and stuff. Now, the only bad part about it is the fact that when you append it in, it brings in an armature for every single piece of clothing and item that it has. So that is just frustrating. Yeah, I am not somebody that's great at these tutorial things, so bear with me. I had a cloth on that shirt and I didn't want it on there, so I was trying to take it off. Alright, as far as the, let me make sure. Ooh, nope, don't do that. Okay. I hate when it appends in and it brings in like so many different layers and stuff. Like, why? To be able to have the hair on your Mixamo character, I'm not going to do a whole lot with it because I've already done it and it's kind of time consuming. But you click on your mesh, come over here to your particle tab, and then once you have your particles set up the way you want, like for me, I'm going to be using the particles to turn it into hair cards. So I turn the children off just because I don't need them. And then come over here and turn it off in the viewport. That way when I come over to the modifiers tab, I got rid of the armature. I can take that off. It's turned off, so this shows me that, okay, this is my eyelashes. So now I can convert this to a mesh. Turn it on in the viewport and then convert it to a mesh. And then I'll come over here and I will label it. Just to keep it organized. I really do like keeping all my stuff organized. Once you have it converted, you can go back to the mesh and that'll bring it back up over here. And then once you have it converted, you can just take it off there if you want. And then you go through and I do this to all of them, pretty much one by one. Like I said, it's time consuming. Alright, we're gonna do one more with the hair itself, and then we'll go over to the other. For the hair, some of them I keep the children on, some of them I don't. It all just varies. Usually the base one is usually the one that I will actually add some children to, just to give some more coverage to it. And then once I'm happy with the way it looks, then I will come over here. Convert it. Name it. And you can do that for the rest of all of these if you want to as well. I'm not going to take the time to do it. I am going to turn them off so it just doesn't mess with the next part of what I'm doing, but once you're completely satisfied with the way everything looks with it, come over here and click on any of them. Once you have them clicked, then for me, I have it on a quick favorites because I do it all the time. But you can come up here to object, come down to convert, and then if you right click on it, you can add it to your favorites. You can do that with any of the settings, with any of the tabs, for stuff that you use all the time. Convert it to a curve. Once it's in a curve, now I turn this down to 1 just because it makes it run faster. Fill in the caps. I'll do a depth of 1 just so it's got a front and a back, where it doesn't have like a front facing and a back facing. It has it where the normals are on both sides, if that makes any sense. So you can see it from this side and this side, and you don't have like this side and then this side it's like black. I don't know if that makes any sense, but get your hair cards done out the way you want. Now for right here, it's turned the wrong way. So tab, click the one that you want. Control T lets you rotate the curves to get them the angle that you want them to be at. Once I'm done with that, tab back out of edit mode. I'm going to convert it back to a mesh. Now, something else I do that really helps is once I have it converted back to a mesh, I will go to edit mode, tab for edit mode, A to select everything, M to merge by distance, and it takes out all of these extra vertices that it doesn't need. And then that's your hair cards right there. And you do that for all of them, everything. If you have multiple particle systems that you're changing into hair cards, to do this part, I would leave them all separate to convert them over. And then once you have them where they're all put into hair cards, you can do it until you're satisfied with it. I mean, you don't have to use my measurements and stuff. And it's the same thing as what we did on the eyelashes. You can tab into edit mode. Now for the hair, it's a lot different because of the fact that there's a lot more to it. It's harder to see. But if you want to rotate something, you can come in here and either box select it like that and turn on proportional editing with O, and then Control T and rotate it. Or the way that I like doing it, so that you don't have like part of it where it's twisted really bad, is I'll come in here and I'll select it, and now that selects the entire strand. So the entire strand is going to rotate. Now if you're having trouble seeing it through everything else, I come up here and I will toggle this on and off. Once I have it selected on what I want, I'll turn this off and then do Control T, and then I can watch it rotate. And remember, I still have proportional editing on. If you don't have proportional editing on when you do it, then just the one that you have selected rotates. There we go. So now just that single one will rotate, or whichever one that you have selected. Or proportional editing will select any of them around it depending on how you have it zoomed in or out. Once you get it selected, you can turn it back on, select another one, and do it again until you are satisfied with it. Once you're completely satisfied with the way it looks, then do the same thing you did on the lashes. You can convert it back to a mesh. I go to tab, A to select everything. M, you don't have to do this step. This is just something I do because it takes all these extra vertices out, which just means it's less that it's trying to process. And then I'll turn that off. Now when I am setting up the material for the hair, I will do this one layer at a time. So I'll come in here with this first layer, go over to the shading editor, and then I already have it on here and I don't want to redo it, so we're gonna click this and then Control spacebar, that saves me a lot, will bring up full screen for wherever you are, and Control spacebar to get back out. And you can do that for any of the windows in Blender. That is a cool little trick I found on a YouTube video for Blender tips. For this node group right here, I will leave a link in the description below for the video that I watched on how to do this. Now the only downside that I've seen of his video is it's very blurry and it's hard to see the values of what he chose. And so what I did when I started out with it was I just came in here and I put them similar to what I thought they were, and I played around with them, you know, while I was doing the video, watching him do the video. And then after I got done, I just came in here and I kept messing with them, and I would just grab a random one and move it around and see what it would do when I had the flat plane like what he does the video with. And I would just come through and all of them, I would play with each individual one and I would see what it did. Even with these up here, I would come up here and I would change them and see what the result was, just so that I could kind of understand what each individual value did, and I would play around with it. So you're more than welcome to use these. I screenshotted the original one that I had set up when I was watching the video of the guy do it. I had screenshotted it and then printed it. So when I first set this up, I set all my values to what I have on my screenshot. For the most part, this right here is what works for me when I'm doing hair cards. Right here is where you can decide your hair color. Put in whatever colors you want, as many as you want, however you want. But right here is what determines the hair color itself. And the only value that I have to change each time is right here. This one I have to play around with every time that I set it up and kind of fine tune this to the different meshes that I put it on. Like the eyelids, the eyelashes, and the eyebrows are a little different, because you can see here where I've actually turned down the color, so they're not so blonde, like they're darker. And then here for the head hair, this value is at 30, where I toned it down quite a bit for this one, for the face hair, just for positioning it. And right here, I messed with these values a lot too. So, I mean, it gives you a great base to start with on these values. And then you can just go in and play around with them. As far as I've noticed, these don't affect anything right here. This doesn't affect anything right here. This one doesn't. At least not for anything that I've noticed with the hair. This one doesn't seem to do anything. I never mess with this one. This one I change the hair color and mess with the values and stuff depending on what I'm doing. And I've even came in here and some of them I've got it where this is actually on 4D just because I like the look that it gives. But the top one needs to stay with F1 and the bottom one distant to edge. That part stays the same, but as far as the 1D, 2D, 3D, 4D, I come in here and I'll change these and just play around with them. The same thing with the value until I get kind of what I'm looking for, what I like. Once you get the hair cards done, like, yeah, it looks bad right here. And that's because you have to play around with these values. You have to come in here and mess with them and see kind of what it is that you're looking for exactly. And that's literally just how I do it. That was not what I typed in. There we go. And just mess around with it until you get what you're looking for in it. This can be a little time consuming, playing around with it and stuff, trying to get the values the way that I want them and playing around with it and stuff like that. It can take a little time to get it fine-tuned the exact way that I want. But in the end, initially, it looks really cool once it's done. And I can show you what it looks like once it pulls up. and it's gonna mess with my freaking model. Yeah, it messed with my model hair. Because I was playing around with the values of it, I screwed it up. So now, I have to go fix it. Haha. Okay. One more thing on that is right here, this X value should match what this X value is up here. And this value, this Y value, should match this Y value right here. These here are usually just a little bit off, not much, but they always seem to be a little bit off. But whatever this value is the value that I put in down here. And this is what I get. This is my outcome with it. And so I really like the way it looks. You can play around with the hair color and change it to a different hair color, darken it, lighten it, you know, do whatever you want with it. For me, this is what I'm looking for. I tried to bake this out so that I wouldn't have to set up the nodes each time that I made this. But the problem with that is this is what it baked out to. Is this, which is really good. I mean, it does look like a hair map, but the coloring of it turns out like a yellow kind of color, and it's really bright, and my kids kept laughing at it and saying that the hair was yellow instead of like a dirty blonde kind of color that I was looking for. And so I wind up just going back to putting the nodes on it. I'm still going to play around with it a little bit more and see if I can't get this texture to turn out so it'll look like this. But I kind of really like having this up here because then I can change it when I need it and stuff. But if you change your particles into the curves and then extrude them out and make the hair cards, once you have all the different layers of the hair done, you can join them together into one layer. If you want or leave them separate, that's up to you. To me, I join them all together just so that they're one layer. If I was setting this model up for an animation, I would come in here and animate her ponytail. But I'm only looking at a still image for right at the moment, so I'm not going to worry about it. One of the biggest things that I've learned with doing the Blender stuff is if you don't need to do it, don't do it. If you're not going to see it, don't worry about it. When I first bring my model in, import FBX. Question is, where do I have my models? No, not there. There we go. I forgot where I had the models at. I haven't actually organized them down into their files yet. When I first bring them in, I always bring them in with the T-pose first, which is what this one is the T-pose. It makes it a lot easier for retargeting. Now, when they first come in, the sizing is always way off. So I always come in here with all of these and I'll bring them up to 1, which brings them to full size. And then on the armature itself, I'll do Control A, apply rotation. That actually will mess up the retargeting if you don't do that. But when you first bring in a Mixamo rig, it looks like this because it doesn't mix the it doesn't take the textures with it. Now this is another part that's kind of time consuming, but if you click on the mesh of your Mixamo rig and then click on your original rig here, Control L, and then link materials, it'll bring your materials back. For stuff that's solid colors, that actually works really good. But sometimes for some stuff that has multiple materials on them, like the shoes for one, they have a bunch of different materials. When you first bring them over, it doesn't bring it over right. Now it does bring all of the materials there, but now the fun part is, for me, what I did was I went in and I came back to my original, tabbed into edit mode, and then I went down through every single one of these. I clicked on it, clicked select, and then I came through and seen what it highlighted, and then I labeled it. The stitches didn't actually do the material, like they've got the wording on it, and I just didn't want to sit there and select all of them to change the material. That's why the stitches are highlighted for that. It's actually this logo back here. But I did that for every single one of them. You know, I just came in here and clicked them to see what it was that actually lights up. And then I would change the label just so I knew what each material was. And then you can come over here to your material. This is the part that kind of sucks about the Mixamo, is yeah, it's free and you get some free animations, but it doesn't bring your materials with it. And so it's kind of sucks going through and like redoing the materials and stuff. So this part kind of does suck doing this, but in the end, I mean, you get a free animation, so I guess you can't complain too much. But once you get that done, then you have your model. I've already done it, so I'm not gonna do it again. The only thing I didn't do is, like, I noticed I forgot her bow. I didn't do it, but in this picture I don't need it anyways, so I'm just not gonna worry about it right now. Once you get it done, if you look at the rig itself here, her rest pose is still this A pose. And if you retarget with it like that, I can show you what it does. All Mixamo stuff comes in like that, so I have to do this for like every one. If you know of a way to get it to actually bring it in the right size, please let me know. I have, it's not turned on. I have the Rococo add-on. I have the free part of it. You can get a paid part, but for right now, I just have the free part. And this is what I use for retargeting. Your source rig would be your Mixamo rig that you brought in. Your target is going to be your new rig here. once you have that, then you can build bone group. And then come through here and check all of these and make sure none of them are double layered. Like, I've already fixed it in this file so it doesn't show it, but when I first brought it in, it had 2 left shoulders, and so it gave me a notification thing down here. So I've already fixed it. So you just got to go through here and like look and make sure everything is lined up right. If it is, then retarget. And as you can see how it's messed up here, that is because of the rest pose. So that is the reason why you can go away now. That's the reason why I was saying that I bring mine in for the T-pose, unless I'm going to be using it for like just this one model this one time and I don't want to go through and re-rig it every single time on Mixamo. This model will get saved, and so each time that I need a different animation or something from Mixamo, all I have to do is bring in the rig just without the skin, so it just brings in the armature here. And come over here. Let me see if I can remember how to do this. You go to your rig, go to... Oh yeah, you gotta do this part first. Click on your mesh. Come over here, duplicate the armature, and apply the first one. Yes, it looks weird, but just ignore that for a moment. Now you have to do that for every single thing that has a rig on here. Because as you can see where the stuff's like not lined up anymore. But if you come in and duplicate it and then apply the original, then it brings it back where it's supposed to be. Duplicate it, take on the first one and apply it. And you have to do this for every one that has a armature on it. It took me forever to figure that out earlier. I actually found a video of somebody that showed me that, and so I'll have it in the description down below. Once you get that part done, then you can come in here to the armature, go to pose mode, now go to pose, apply pose as rest pose, and now it brings it where your model lines up with your armature. If you do that, like if you go the first time and you just apply the pose as the rest pose without doing the duplicate and apply thing on the mesh, then it comes in all messed up and weird. There we go. It comes in all messed up and weird, and the mesh will go down to the A pose. So the armature will stay in the T pose, but the mesh will turn into this pose right here. But if you go in and duplicate the armature and then apply the original, the one on top, and then once you get done with that, go to your rig, go over to pose mode, pose, apply as rest pose, then it'll bring it where your mesh lines up. And I have a link in the description down below for the video that I had for that. But once you have that part done, now you can come back over here to Rococo and retarget the animation again. And now it came in correct. Now, if I had both of these setting at 0, it would have brought them piled on top of each other. But because I didn't, that's the reason why they're not. Definitely make sure that your origin point, though, comes back to your rig. You can do that by just clicking on your rig. Control E. That's safe. Wrong one. Shift S once it gets done. Shift S brings up this menu, and then you can bring it to your, bring cursor to select it. No, this isn't what I wanted. Hang on. Let me see. Oh, there it is. Haha. See? Origin to center of 3D mass. Or you can have it where it's down at the bottom. It reset the origin to world point. Because I did that, and I hit this one, cursor to world origin, it brought it over here, which is what lined it up. But if you click it right, set origin to 3D mass, it'll bring your origin point back over here. But anyways, once you have it in here, have your pose set in here, you can click on the armature, go to pose mode, and now you can fine tune it. You can go up to the, I never use it, but Rigify, and get the more precise rigging or whatever. I just never use it because I haven't figured out how to use it yet. But if you want to change the pose and stuff, you know, you can come in here and do that now. Watch, it's not gonna friggin' work. Oh, I gotta go back to pose mode. Stop it! Click. R. Thank you. Oh, because I'm clicked on the wrong one, no wonder. Once you have it retargeted, that's why I can't get it to work. Once you have it retargeted, your armature that you got from Mixamo, you can delete that out. Because you no longer need it once you have your rig up here. Now, R to rotate. And how do I want to rotate it? No, that's not what I want to do. If you want to see your bones, you can come right over here to this one. Go to bones in front, and now you can see it. Okay. Rotate. Would it be X? No. Rotate Y? No. Rotate Z? Yeah, that did it. Okay. Again, like I said, I am not a professional or expert at doing any of this stuff. Literally, that's how I figure it out most of the time. I just click each axis until I get it to move the way I want it to. Because I'm doing the video, my thing is like going slow. I want her in a sitting pose. That's what I'm trying to go for here. But anyways, I'm going to cut the video off here. That's how you do it. At least that's how I do it anyways. There may be different ways to do it. This is just how I do it.